welcome us. We can have Associate Dean Vivek Chaudhary welcome us.
I've lost my voice a little bit, so I hope you can still hear me. Good evening. Good evening. So I am absolutely delighted to welcome you today to which I think will be the signature experience of our MBA program, CAP, or Consulting Abroad Program. And I don't want to take a lot of your time telling you what CAP is, because you'll hear a lot about that. You know it's global, you know it's experiential, you know you're going to solve a problem for a real company. But what I want to do today is acknowledge what it takes to put together an experience like CAP. So I was recently at an event called the MBA Roundtable, which is a meeting of basically the program directors and associate deans for MBA programs all around the country. And the number of, and we described what we do for CAP, the number of people who came up and said, how did you pull that off? We tried to do this, we just couldn't make it happen. We couldn't find the clients. Students wouldn't deliver on the projects, and the logistics didn't work. And I said, well, that's for us to know and for you to wonder. I'm not sharing any trade secrets here about how we make this pull off, or how we pull this off. But actually, the secret is not really a secret, because as with anything else, the secret is in the gravy. Work hard to make this happen. So there are three groups of people that I would like to acknowledge here. The first I want to acknowledge the folks in GNE, and in particular, Danita and Brian. So please join me in thanking them because they work hard. Thank you. I know that it takes a lot of work to, eventually see what appears to be hopefully a smooth and wonderful experience. The second group I want to thank are people who are not necessarily here except in odd numbers, one or two of you, which is our second year and previous year students. In the country I come from, there's a very famous saying that says, you can only put a wooden pot on the fire once. Think about that for a minute. And you know what that means is if we reach out to clients, if we reach out to prospective customers, and we say, you know what, you have this opportunity to have 5 really smart people work on a project for you, solve a problem that you don't have time to solve, and they say, that sounds great. And then the 5 people go in and they do lousy work. What do you think are the chances that our next call gets returned? So I want to thank the previous MBA students who came before us because they did good work. They did really good work. And that's why the next time our folks call and say we have another group of MBA students, they're happy to welcome us. So what this also means for you is, well, I'll leave that to you, but obviously what you do will determine what happens when you make a call for the next group of students. So the onus is on you, but I have no concerns. I know you will continue the wonderful tradition that the students before you have set, so that this opportunity stays available to us forever. And finally, I would like to thank the 5 people that you're going to hear from soon, which are the wonderful faculty that lead these projects. Believe me, this is not like teaching any normal course. This is an extraordinary amount of effort on their part. And the experiences and the contacts and the knowledge that they bring to the table is really unique. They're a step forward, lead an effort that you will cherish forever. And I just want to say thank you to all of them, because without them, this would not be possible. So again, join me in thanking them as well. And now that I say that, between you and hearing from these wonderful faculty is me. So I will step aside and say thank you, welcome to this experience, and hope you have a wonderful time all through the spring and May as you go through CAP.
All right, guys, so I'm so happy to see you here and all of your smiling faces. What I'm going to do tonight is provide a little bit of context for you, remind you about the conversation that we had during MBA Institute, about the reason why we do CAP and what some of the fundamental elements are. Danita's then going to walk us through the nuts and bolts of the program so that you have an idea of what the pattern of the year looks like, so we reduce the opportunity for surprises for you in that space. And then we're going to hand it over to the faculty directly to give brief overviews of not only themselves, but also the locations and the clients that we'll be partnering with on site. And then, of course, Danita will come back and talk to you about the application procedures, right? So one of the main goals today is for you to understand a little bit about these projects, and you can start your applications as soon as tomorrow if you'd like. And then we'll have an opportunity for you to ask questions for faculty. So, kicking off, Vivek mentioned that these are maybe a little more complicated, certainly more resource-intensive opportunities to try to construct. But fundamentally, there are also elements of these courses that are just different than the classes that you're in now. So I just want to remind you that the group dynamics of this experience are different, right? In that the entire experience is group-based, right? So you're organized into study teams now, but likely in your courses there are also individual assignments that you're submitting, right? You should expect a similar pattern between individual assignments and group assignments for your CAP. Fundamentally, success means good teamwork. It's also a little complicated because CAP is the first time that the cohorts will be mixed. So I don't know you by cohort, I just know you as first-year GMBA. So hopefully you're already mingling, right? And you're not just divided into the two sides of the room. But it's impossible to be divided that way because obviously you'll be mixed up. So there's a benefit in that you get to know each other really well, but there's also a risk in that you don't know each other very well to begin with, right? The academic experience is different too because it's also dictated by the relationship you build with your client, right? And that's an important part of consulting, is developing a strong working relationship with members in an organization so that they provide you the information that you need to make them successful. And so the academic experience then is not just based in studying and theory and your faculty, it's really also external to the classroom. And then finally, it's an opportunity for professional development that you just don't have in your present classes. So I tell every student I run into that they should use their faculty as connectors to industry because most of our faculty have had jobs in industry or currently consulting are very well connected. But in this reality, right, in CAP, the entire opportunity is also an opportunity for you to develop professional skills and also a network in the country where you're operating and the company that you're collaborating in. So those are some elements that I hope you can recognize even now as fundamentally different. So this should look familiar. Right in August we went over this, so I'll zip through it really quickly. But this action learning framework for this course is defined around the problem that's presented to you. And that problem will be described in some ways tonight, right, as what is the challenge that the company's facing. The hope is that through the benefit of your diverse team and the coaches that you have here who are faculty leads, you'll be able to follow through on a questioning process, developing hypotheses for what you think solutions are to the challenges, asking solid questions to your clients or other experts that you're using to inform your understanding of their issues, and making sure that you have kind of some looped learning, right? Utilizing the resources of your team to arrive at some sort of action, prototype, or deliverable that your client receives. So although it's circular, right, here, that's to suggest that each of these are really important parts of one process, right? So the outcomes we're hoping for that process are complex problem solvers. Your clients will not make it easy for you, right? They might present a specific issue, and it turns out that the challenge is not exactly that issue, right? Those of you who have worked in consulting know this is the case. Those of you who have worked with consultants probably know this is the case as well, right? It's sometimes difficult as an actor in an organization to clearly articulate what your challenge is and the road to solving that challenge, because if you knew that, you might as well do it yourself, right? So they're borrowing your expertise to get to that place. We're also looking for skilled leaders. And so most teams will have a team leader who has to coordinate the activities within that group. But also, in action learning, everyone has to be a leader, right? Everyone should be leading in different ways on a team. Just as successful team-based leadership exists in the academic classes that you're in. And fundamentally, we're hoping that students are operationalizing high-performing teams, and that they can replicate that when they leave our institution and are leading in organizations as well. So really, those are some of the main elements that we're hoping are outcomes. How we get there is through this map, which we also presented to you during Institute, right? So your core MBA coursework, we're hoping, supports the work that you're doing here. So keep learning, keep studying for sure, because you never know what's going to be important to you. When your client says, well, I'm having a particular issue as it relates to kind of the human capital challenges in our organization, you can say, aha, I remember when, right? We looked at this, maybe we can find a way of applying it here. But also we recognize that you are not a blank slate. MBA students are particularly interesting because they have lived experience, right? That's personal and that's professional. And that personal resiliency that you've taken from non-academic experiences might be of use here. Your professional experience might inform things that you don't have academic knowledge about, but will lend to the work that you're doing also in CAP. So don't forget to rely on those and actually encourage your teammates to consider what they're bringing to the table there. But we also hope you're developing new knowledge. So the faculty in this series teach courses, right, on the destination, on critical elements of the economies that might be impacting your client, a little bit about the client sector, but fundamentally, teamwork will facilitate this whole process. So successful teamwork between your mentors, the faculty who are leading these programs, and even within your own teams help to make that successful. So at the end of the day, we're hoping that you're marrying sector knowledge that you're acquiring about the world that your client is operating in, the consulting skills that will help build through workshops and toolkits, cross-cultural skills that you've already been practicing here in Washington, D.C., and fundamentally team building and collaboration. So really, we see those as the 4 pillars that create the CAP experience. And so why do we do this? So Rebecca's just said it would be cheaper and easier if we just had you in a classroom and didn't send you overseas, didn't have a lot of client projects. It would streamline my job, but it would also make my job much less interesting. So I'll say that it's also in response to criticisms that business schools have all the time, right? That we're in an Ivy Tower, we teach things that make sense in a textbook, but once you bring them into real life, it's very difficult to find ways to get them to impact organizations. So this is our way of saying, well, let's test that out, right? Are the things you're learning in your core curriculum things that you can apply meaningfully, and do they make sense for that environment? And what we find is that sometimes yes, sometimes no, right? For the organizations, but also for you in student learning. But this is a good way for us to address that challenge. The other is that, I pitched to you guys when you first got here, we take global seriously, and this is really why, right? Other institutions have programs that are similarly designed. They've tried an element of action learning working with a client. It's difficult, it's challenging, so they've stepped away from it. And those experiences that are compulsory are much less deep experiences and much less interactive. And so for us, we believe we're kind of holding true to our mission and our objectives in this program of bringing global learning to you all by the format of this particular course. It also allows you guys to develop really deep expertise in a particular industry. And Danita will talk about keeping an open mind. This is really important, right? We've had students take on a CAP project that was not related to core interest, and they've said, I didn't know I was really interested in technology, or I didn't really know that I was even interested in entrepreneurship, or I didn't know that I was interested in working in Southeast Asia, right? So this is an opportunity to kind of explore new avenues and ideas. But no matter where you're exploring, our hope is that you develop deep competencies in that area. So in addition to saying, I've learned some consulting skills, you can say, well, I've learned a lot about human capital issues in Australia, for example. And then finally, we're looking to build skills that have transferability. So we don't have this in our program because we want everyone to work in consulting on the other side, right? It would be easier if you all did, right? We would tell the Career Center only focus on developing relationships with consulting companies, but we recognize you want to go everywhere. I'm biased, but I tend to think that consulting skills can be utilized in any place that you land, right? Good communication, good questioning, project management skills, team leadership, even kind of the quantitative skills that you will exercise in CAP can be helpful elsewhere. So we want to make sure, too, that we're pushing the needle on professional skills development that are transferable. I said that was the last one, and I was actually wrong. So obviously, international exposure and engagement is an objective for us. We can say meaningfully everyone in our full-time program has global experience. So don't forget about this, right? It's been 6 weeks, maybe, since I was in front of you giving you a debrief of your results. But also don't forget there are certain activities in your MBA program that will allow you to push the needle on areas of improvement that you brainstormed at the end of that training, right? And so we'll reference in some of the co-curricular programming that we're doing. But I would say any one of the major kind of capitals in the Global Mindset Inventory can be exercised and ideally improved through the CAP, right? You can build a network. You can exercise a passion for diversity or your self-assurance, and certainly you can work on cognitive complexity and your global business savvy. So our hope is really that any of these major variables or any of the subsets in the composite variables should be things that you can work on. So keep those in mind. The goals you set for yourself in the training that you did with me are goals you should really keep in mind, particularly as it relates to CAP. So to bring us down into some nuts and bolts stuff, Danita's going to talk through a little bit more about what the schedule looks like for this coming year.
Thanks, Brian. All right, guys. So to help you deliver on your expectations for CAP, each one of you guys received a book. You want to show me the book you received? Okay, that's the McKinsey Engagement. Okay. And the author of that book is Dr. Paul Friga, right? And Dr. Paul Friga developed this framework. Now, to help you execute on your expectations, what we do is we developed this framework, or we are applying the framework to the 4 months that you have in CAP. So CAP really starts in January and ends in May when you're in country. And so the team focus framework is what Dr. Paul Friga developed. In the McKinsey Engagement book, he talks about his experience as a consultant, and he talks about his research on one, action learning programs, and two, on consulting engagement specifically. And he developed a team-focused framework. So I'm not going to share too much about it right now, but I will tell you, well, I'll ask you to make sure that you read this text by your first classroom experience, okay? Now, the first phase is phase one. That's when you really look at your scope of work and you look at the challenge, and you ask, what is your hypothesis? Right? It's a session where you develop a hypothesis. You'll see in the bottom here we have the deliverables. You have your team charter and your scope of work. That's in the month of January. Classes start mid-January, so you basically have 2 weeks, right? So transitioning into February, you'll have phase 2, when you will start gathering data and do research, okay? I see many of you guys are taking notes. I'll just let you know, feel free to take notes, but we will share this in a PDF format with you tomorrow morning as well. So phase 2 is February, March. That's when you'll do research. That's when you'll do analogous interviews. We'll try and figure out, this is the challenge the client is working with. Who should we talk to in the United States? Who should we find out more information from to develop our hypothesis to either prove or disprove it? Okay, that's February, March. Phase 3 is in April. That's when you develop your storyline. So I'll tell you this. The successful CAP teams really follow these 4 phases, and phase 2 and 3 is critical for phase 4 to be successful. Okay? So in phase 4, that's when you are starting to develop your initial recommendations to the client. Okay? And that happens in the month of April. Then phase 4 is when you're in country. And really, phase 4, that's when you do your final presentation, you receive final feedback from the client. Sometimes you receive feedback from the client that confirms the direction of your project. Other times, you'll find feedback that says, oh, you need to tweak a bit. That shouldn't be a problem if you followed all 4 phases. So the point of this slide is that we do provide you, this framework provides you with the methodology to approach your 4 months of consulting, okay? So very quickly, the CAP schedule, CAP does happen in spring, but it's really a full year experience. And so far, how we have helped you prepare for your CAP experience, Brian mentioned the Global Mindset Inventory. We did the Global Mindset Inventory, you received a briefing, you know the capitals you need to work on. In November, we did announcements. Today, you're going to hear from faculty about the overview presentations. So you're going to start thinking about what CAP you want to go to. November 27th, I'll talk about that a little bit later. The CAP applications will close. And then December 12th is when you will hear your CAP announcement, what CAP location you will be at. Transitioning to the spring semester, in January, you have the first class meeting with your CAP faculty. Okay? The January 27th, that's a day to note now. Because CAP will always happen on Thursdays except for two days, January 27th and February 3rd. Okay, those will be 2 half days that you will have a CAP requirement. Okay, so February 3rd, we will, the month of February, you will have your second class CAP class. You'll also have the team-focused training. So the author of the book, Dr. Paul Frigga, will be here live to work with you on your consulting projects. He will discuss the team-focused model in detail. And then you'll also have your first lunch and learn that focuses on teamwork in the month of February. March, you'll continue with your CAP class meetings. March is a bit of a shorter month because you have spring break in the middle of it. We'll also we'll do a lunch and learn focusing on the cultural orientation indicator. The cultural orientation indicator is designed to help you prepare culturally for your CAP engagement. April is a short month. There's a lot happening in April for many of you. We'll continue with the class meetings. We'll do a lunch and learn focusing on powerful presentations, both the content and the delivery. And April 27th is the day tomorrow. That's when you will have your preview presentations. So your faculty will have a panel of experts sit and listen to your initial recommendations that you're going to deliver to clients. It's very, very exciting. Okay? And we also invite some second years, and then we wrap up that day on the 27th with a nice big CAP reception. Okay? And then in May, we'll be in country. Note that these dates are not final. These are the tentative dates. Okay? So, moving on. We will help you stay on track with CAP. You will get a monthly newsletter from our office. All right? Every month will be a newsletter. These newsletters will contain information about, hey guys, book your flight. So we will generally let you know, end of February, or excuse me, end of January when to book your flights. We'll provide you with visa support documentation when can you stop by. Some of you will need more visa documentation than others. We'll let you know when to come by the office to pick it up. We'll also provide you with health and safety information and any itinerary information. So we ask that you please read the newsletters. We do know who opens the newsletters, and we do know if you sections you read, don't read. So just please make sure you read the newsletters because it really helps to keep you on track. You will also hear from second years what their recommendations are about the different phases. Moving on. You probably have spoken to second years, haven't you guys, about CAP? Yes? No? No? You have, I know you have. So CAP is 10 business days in country, so it's 2 weeks. Okay? We are on something called GMBA time. Right? It is very, very busy. Every single day there are either business meetings, you're meeting with your client, your teamwork, it may be a cultural visit. I will share a sample itinerary with you in a second. But you will be expected to, you will be on the whole time during CAP. Now, this is what a sample itinerary would look like for week 1. I'm just going to point out 2 items here. Generally, you will arrive in country on Sunday. We'll have a welcome dinner. The entire CAP will have a welcome dinner. And next day, you will start, could be that you do a cultural tour, then, or you may have a business meeting, or you may have a client meeting. We'll have a lunch, and then we'll have a client meeting, and team dinners. Every day follows this pattern, more or less. That weekend for every single CAP, there's a particular cultural activity planned for you. Okay? In week 2, you continue to meet with your clients, you continue to have business environment meetings, you may meet with the US Embassy, you may meet with other governmental entities, and you will wrap up the 2 weeks with your final presentation either on Thursday or on the Friday as well. So that's roughly what your 2 weeks are going to look like in country. Having said that, having just shared the schedule with you guys, you can see you don't have a lot of free time to hang out socially with people outside of your CAP class. We have a strict, an official non-accompaniment travel policy. In other words, we take your CAP very seriously, and we know you do as well. And so what I mean by that is that it's an academic experience. And so we ask that you don't invite family or friends to come with you or to interfere with your CAP experience. You're on CAP. This is the only time you can do CAP. So we don't expect you to engage with family or friends. We do ask, you can meet up with them after or before, but when you're on CAP, it's an academic experience. So non-participants are not supposed to accompany you on your CAP experience. People ask about how does the finances work? So briefly, what is included? Your accommodations in country is included. Any group activities, group meals, group transportation, group cultural activities, those are included in your, it's already paid for you. What is not included, and it's something we are letting you know now, you can start thinking about planning for a budget. Your airfare to and from your CAP country is not included. Okay? Your visa application fees are not included, and any incidental or out-of-pocket expenses are not included. We estimate that to be around $2,000, maybe more, maybe less. This is generally very consistent. Okay? Something else, if this is concerned or as you're thinking about it, our office can provide a cost of attendance increase if you raise your debt limit. Please let me know or reach out to us. I can provide you with that letter. For those of you who are sponsored students, we are happy to provide you with letters as well. Something I'll say, many of you, and even just now, a few minutes ago, a student came to me and said, hey, I have a phone call with a potential summer internship. We know your summer internships are important, and we support you in that endeavor. But we do want to ask you that you please honor the fact that CAP is a required class, and that you are present for your final presentation in country with your team. Okay, so be proactive as you communicate with your employer about the fact that you have a CAP obligation in country. Generally, employers are very impressed with the fact that you're doing CAP. And we also ask you, the onus is on you to communicate any changes with the employer, or as anything comes up, engage your faculty as well. Now, without further ado, we are very excited to introduce the Slate of CAP faculty. We're going to start off with Professor Attila Gies, who's going to talk about South Africa. Then we'll transition to Larry Yu, who'll talk about CAP China. And then I want to let you know that Tom Gertz is a professor who will lead the CAP to Argentina. He is a visiting professor in Berlin, and so he sent a video, so I'll just transition to the video. Then I'll transition to Professor Nam Pham, who will take students to Vietnam. And finally, we'll conclude with Professor Hannah Messerly, who will take students to Australia. After the faculty are done, I will give you very specific instructions about your CAP application that will open tomorrow, and then we'll end up with the conclusions. But without further ado, I'll have Professor Gies talk about South Africa.
Okay, good evening, everybody. I'll be talking about CAP South Africa, which I'll be leading this year. Let me say a few words about my background. Besides teaching here at GW, I am involved in consultancy work, and I also sit on the boards of two financial companies in Istanbul, Turkey. My background is in finance. I've worked at the SEC of Turkey, then at the Stock Exchange, and then spent some time in a policy-focused business organization. And this is my 7th year leading a CAP program, and it's always exciting to be part of this program. Okay, why South Africa? Why we picked South Africa? Of course, this is not the first year we are taking our students to South Africa. I think 3 or 4 times in the past, including last year, we made South Africa part of this program. Of course, it's the largest and most sophisticated economy in the whole African continent. And you see many of the other elements that make South Africa a natural choice for this program. And it's also the S in BRICS. Have you ever heard of this term BRICS, which has been used to define the most significant emerging markets? Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. So the S there stands for South Africa. But I think one major maybe informational element that makes South Africa even a more interesting destination is perhaps its rather difficult, harsh history and what has been done in the last 20 plus years to overcome some of the difficulties of this period, and especially dealing with 2 core issues, namely poverty and income distribution. So one of the companies we will be doing projects with would really give you a better idea about how this transition has been done in the country. And Cape Town, the location of our residence, is one of the most beautiful cities on earth, I would say. And it's also a very vibrant business center. in addition to being the legislative capital of the country. South Africa, by the way, has 3 capitals, and Cape Town is one of them. So it's I think the city combines all the elements to serve as a cap destination. Not only business, but also government is there, but also social and cultural life is very active, very vibrant. So it will really expose you to the diversity of the country. Okay. Next. Because again, and this is not perhaps unique to South Africa, we see these elements in almost all the emerging markets, but sustained growth and job creation is an important issue. Youth unemployment, of course, is quite significant in South Africa as well. And you have challenges and opportunities, again, as we see in other emerging markets. And skills deficit here, lack of electricity is still a problem, corruption. On the opportunity side, this is a country which has a much better infrastructure compared to many other emerging markets, and also in terms of financial and legal frameworks, it really offers a lot more than comparable countries. We will have 2 clients, 2 companies. One of them is Thokozani, which means celebration. It produces wine. And the other one is called Takealot. It's the Amazon of South Africa and maybe Africa, the whole continent which they target. Okay, let me go into a bit more detail about these 2 clients and their industries. Thokozani is a black economic empowerment company, meaning it tries to provide employment and economic empowerment to black people, neglected people during the apartheid period, so it receives support and incentives from the government in different ways. So there is a special program called BEE, and through this company, again, we will be able to understand better the complex economic environment of the country. It's owned and run by its 57 employees, and set up by the owners of Dimmers Fontaine Company, which is a company which was set up long before Thokozani, and the owners of this company really started this to contribute to the efforts made by the government to overcome poverty in the country. And some of the operations of the company are currently being done by Dimmers Fontaine, and that's actually the core of these projects that we will be doing with them. They are planning to split from this parent company and be able to stand on their own feet. So this transition is the core of the projects we will be handling. Takealot has 800 plus employees, established just 5-6 years ago, and they have warehouses in 2 major cities. They own their own logistics company, so they don't outsource it, and they try to be the largest, simplest, most customer-friendly online shopping platform in the entire continent. With Thokozani, we will be doing 3 projects. The first one would be streamlining the existing draft business plan they have to make sure that that transition is done in a rather, smooth and efficient way, so that the company has all the required skills and processes in place. The second project will be in marketing. They really think that U.S. market is important for them, so this group is going to be devising a branding and marketing strategy for Thokozani wines in the U.S. And the last group will be doing an HR project, I would say, because they want to make sure that the skill pool they have right now, the owners and workers of the company, acquire the necessary skills, again, to run this process and to make sure that this company can operate on their own feet. And Denise Stubbs, the lady here, is the executive director of the company, and she's the company, So she has a lot of ideas. She is very excited about this project, this whole program we will be doing with them. So you'll be meeting her in case those of you who are going to be in this program for sure, and you'll see how much energy she has. And so she's personally very much involved in this, so I wanted to share her picture with you. Okay, with our second client, the project will be a business development project because Takealot is considering expanding into services, and especially home services, following the example of Amazon. So this group is going to be analyzing the domestic market and see whether there is any room for such an expansion, and if so, what would be the best strategy of expanding into new areas. So this is going to be the task of the project team, which will be doing this. Okay. Of course, there's a lot of components of this program, and Brian and Denita went over them, so I'm not going to go into the details, but it's really a comprehensive program having different requirements, but also offering different exposures to different areas, not only business, but also other areas. Yes, the project process and the project reports that you will be producing is the core component for deliverable of this class, but also this exercise is going to expose you to a new country, to a new culture. You will be meeting people in person. You will taste their food. You will, enjoy their nature and have fun there, in addition to doing business. So I keep saying this. This is a course. This is not your typical course, but a course that requires not only your intellect but also your emotions, your heart. So I want both of them to be involved in this process and enjoy really getting exposed to another culture and see this as an opportunity to understand emerging markets, their mindset, their culture, in case you have not been exposed to already. But in that sense, I think in a period of 3-4 months, this course is really providing so much to all of you. And in addition to the work that we will be doing in the country and here in DC, of course, there will be some time. Yes, we will be busy, but part of our being busy would be related to fun things to do, and Cape Town is the place to have fun while doing business. Thank you.
Okay, well, it's truly delightful to see you all at this information session. My name is Larry Yu, and I will be China Cap, and so I'm going to through some of the highlights of Cap China. But again, just a few words about myself. professor of management, and I'm primarily teaching in the tourism administration program, MTA program. And before I joined TWU and working in China, and pretty much in the tourism sector, director of the Provincial Tourism Administration in Zhejiang Province, southeast part of Shanghai, and then also had a couple of years in New York City working in a logistic company really, and also dealing with travel, and then in consulting with several major international hospital organizations, some other aid organizations as well. And led China in the last 3 years, and there's a picture of us in Hunan, in Changsha, in China last May. So that's about myself. Why China? Well, China now is the second largest economy in the world, even though the economy has been slowed down to 6 and 7% GDP growth. But the economy also has been going through structural transitions as well, and especially, the capital investment has been slowed down, and also export has been slowed down, and so the government really developed a new 5-year national strategy, we call the 5-year plan, starting last year, to really focus on innovation, entrepreneurship, and domestic consumption. So it's really a good time now to go in and to China. Everybody talking about entrepreneurship, and especially college students all want to start their own business, and so it's really a good time to go and to meet some of those young entrepreneurs and to see the current economic transition. And also rapid development of urbanization, and it's just massive infrastructure development for cities. And so our cap destination will be a very good example. We'll just come to it in a few minutes. Now, however, with all that fast economic development, there are also many challenges facing China. And I highlight some of those major ones here. Rising labor cost, which actually will be a major part of our cap consulting project this time. Aging population, income inequality, and the environmental concerns. The real fast economic miracle was really built on, some of the cost of some of the social and economic aspects of the development, and so we will also be able to see some of those. And then the cap destination is a Shenzhen. Some of you probably have heard and have studied and learned about Shenzhen. This is the very first special economic zone when Deng Xiaoping started the economic reform in 1978. And so this special economic zone was established in 1980. And so this is really a living lab for us to learn economic development, economic growth in China in the last 36 years. And then it's also known as the innovation hub in China. And so a lot of innovation, a lot of innovative activities, and a lot of companies clustered in this particular urban space. And then some of the business environment, just quickly, as I mentioned, GDP has been stabilized around 6 to 7%. First half year, 2016. And however, the service sector has been expanded. Now makes up 54% of the GDP. And so this is really the national strategy to expand the service sector with the slowdown of the export and also other major infrastructure development. And intensifying competitions among international and the domestic firms, especially in the tourism sector, the global hotel brands, Hilton, Marriott, Starwood have been very aggressive developing their portfolios in China, and they now develop hotels in not only the gateway cities, the secondary cities, so now they move into the tertiary level cities. And so tremendous competition between the international and domestic firms. And also there's quite a bit overcapacity in many sectors, including the hotel business. And so how to utilize the capacity and for efficient operations is the challenge facing many companies. And then escalating labor cost at an annual inflation rate of 13%. And so labor has become quite expensive. And so how to retain your employees, how to develop employee loyalty has been very critical facing many companies. And so domestic firms now exploit and explore optimal business models to stay competitive. And so that's the challenge facing many companies. And relationship and the trust doing business in China, is really the trust and the relationship is very important. And then putting everything together here, and so make this consulting experience very exciting and also very challenging. The globalization, the structure transformation, competitions, and social culture environment for doing business in China. So make this experience quite unique and interesting. The sector will be in the travel and the hospitality sector, and there will be 2 domestic firms, and so we're only looking at domestic travel. As you can see, the domestic travel in China has been developed real rapidly in the last 20-some years. This business sector is helping to stimulate domestic consumption. And so the government really puts a lot of efforts to develop the travel business to stimulate domestic consumption, and also diverse institutionalized popular holidays to generate demand. The government also institutionalized several real long holidays, week-long holidays, and this should stimulate travel and consumption. And then diverse tourism resources and the largest supply for domestic inbound demand as well. There's also inbound international travel to China. And so some of the domestic firms also try to capture that part of the business. And so it's a dynamic industry. And so there will be 2 clients. The first one will be a Shenzhen Hotel Management Company, and this is a subsidiary of Shenzhen Airlines in the city of Shenzhen. It's a big company, and so we'll be working with a hotel management firm. And founded in 2004 as a subsidiary of Shenzhen Airlines, operating over 40 business hotels in China, as you can see, in over 20 cities. So their mission is to create innovative, unique, and seamless experience for air travelers. So they've been focusing primarily in the past on business travel. Okay, and so now facing intense competition from international and domestic brands. And there's some big ones, Jinjiang Hotels International, Beijing Capital Group, and even their neighbor, not too far, Hainan Airlines. Very aggressive. Just purchased 25% of Hilton. Hainan Airline also has a hotel group. And so they're facing tremendous competition. And so basically the scope of the work will be in 2 areas. Business model optimization, strategic integration of resources to build sustainable assets in customers, in in their own human capital and also markets. And so they really would like to expand to leisure aspects of the business and also the inbound part, international travel. And so two areas in terms of the model. And then they are very interested in any assistance with the talent development and retention, career growth, and employee loyalty. And so that's one company. And then secondly, we have another big company in China. This is the Shenzhen Overseas Chinese Town East, so OTC East. Now this is a big real estate developer. And so OTC East is just one of their projects. It's one of their portfolios. And so this is really their ski resort, a multi-use ecological project. And so as you can see the scope of the project, golf courses, resort hotels, entertainment, retail, just like our National Harbor. I'm sure some of you probably know National Harbor across the river, but this is a much larger scale. It's a 9 square kilometers, as you can see, and so it's a big project. And so the management is very complex here. Some of the operations run by their own, some of the operations contracted to other managers. And so they are looking for, again, optimal business model, organizational, structural, inter-organizational governance in this very complex operations. And then standards, quality assurance. How can you provide consistent services across those operations? Right now, the standards are mixed. And so basically, that's one scope. And then secondly, again, the talent development and retention. That really goes back to what's going on in China, rising labor costs. And very expensive to train an employee. And then when they become productive, they leave. And so this facing many of the domestic firms. And so here, career development, motivation, empowerment, and loyalty. And so same set of challenges facing the Shenzhen airline company, a management company. Okay, so structure of the course, discussions, cases. We do actually have a case, our business school case, OTC, one particular theme park. And so it'll be a good study we all will engage in to discuss. Regular meetings with clients and updates, guest lectures, be able to bring one or two guest lecturers from the hotel industries in DC and to talk to us how they organize their operations, for instance. And then once in the country, site visits to competing firms to learn some of their practices, and then you will be engaged in primary, secondary research, personal interviews to meet executives and also employees to learn, what they feel, what they think, and how they are being treated, and so there's a lot of research also needs to be done both here and also in the country. So, and also participant observations. So this project is really, we stay in hotels and we visit the project, and so we also observe and participate and then observe and then have your own personal experience and of those services, of those products as well. And so there are many different activities we will use. And then students expected to participation in class and a team dynamic. You will hear this probably over and over again. Students work well in teams, and client engagement and communications are very important on a regular basis. And then you also have a brief to report your engagement with clients on a regular basis. And cultural awareness and appreciation, really important. That's part of the plan C, the trust and the relationship we all try to develop with our clients. And so, and then really pay attention to the due dates, the travel arrangements Benita mentioned. And so, very important for better organized experience complete. And also, there's, in addition to your McKinsey engagement, there's another reading on the break. This is a fascinating new book just published in April 2016, talking about China's economic development. And it's a very comprehensive study covering all the opportunities and the challenges facing China. And this will be good reading before we go into China, and also will be good for your project. And then I'm really looking for diverse talents, and because the nature of the project, students with professional academic interest and experience in, as you can see, the different functional management areas, and also if you have a sociology, psychology background, that'd be very good too, because we'll be dealing with a lot of about the HR and talent development issues as well, and so on. And then finally, I think my colleague just mentioned, Jola mentioned earlier, emotional intelligence. You're going to a different culture, a different country that sometimes is very different, and also you work in teams, the students from different cultural backgrounds, for instance, and the way of, their approach will be different, and so this is real important, working in a team and also working in a very different cultural environment, and so emotional intelligence. Okay, as in the hospitality industry, we say we work hard, we also play very hard. Shenzhen is a great place, as I mentioned, to study Chinese ascent in economic development in the last 35, 36 years. And then you should have an opportunity to have exchange activities with local students, and they are very good. They're very important contact as well, because they know where are the best bars. Karaoke, right? Entertainment. There's lots of those issues. And then local culture and the heritage sites. And Shenzhen is not just a huge city, it's also some culture, some heritage site we'll be able to visit. And then the cuisine, the local food is just, it's kind of neat. And so, variety of dim sums and just delicious food in Shenzhen. And then we should be able to have a weekend getaway to Beijing, and then we will experience history, heritage, tradition, government. And then we should be able to have a one-day excursion to cross the border to Hong Kong, and where you really see the West meets East, and it's just very close by. It's a very short train ride from Shenzhen to Hong Kong. Okay, so if you have any other questions, you can find me and email me. I'd be happy to talk to you. Thank you.
Great, guys. Next, we're going to hear from Professor Tom Gertz.
Hello, my name is Dr. Tom Gertz. I'm a professor of finance here in the GW Business School, and I will be leading the CAP to Buenos Aires, Argentina. This will be the third CAP that I'm doing. I went to Mumbai. Mumbai, India. Last year I also went to Buenos Aires, and this year I will go again, and I hope with this short introduction to convince you to come with me. One of the reasons why I'm not with you is because I am actually in Germany at the moment, Berlin, where I'm an honorary professor of finance and real estate, and I'm giving a set of guest lectures there. Hence I can't be with you doing this presentation live, but my TA, Hillary, will be there, and she actually went with me last year to Buenos Aires. Why am I telling you this is because, as you can see, both Hillary and we've been in Argentina last year. I am an experienced traveler. I've been doing this a lot. I've been traveling all around the world. So to say, you are in safe hands with me, or with us to be more exact. Hillary can also answer any questions that you might have about the trip, about me. She can tell you that in confidence, I guess, and also something about the projects that we'll be doing. Now, before I go there, I want to make sure that everybody is on the same line here. I'm very serious about this. I take the CAP serious, and I know that you take the CAP serious too. For, if I looked at the statistics correctly, 49% of you, the CAP is actually a reason why you're enrolled in a program. So I believe that the CAP is extremely important. I am a foreigner, between quotation marks. I mean, everybody is a foreigner somewhere, is my opinion. But I believe that globalization, I believe learning about other cultures is extremely important. And it's a part of my research, is a part of my lecturing. So I see CAP as a logical extension of that. Argentina is fascinating. It's a fascinating country. As you will see when you come with me, they have their own set of problems. They have their own interesting things that are going on there. And it's very important to learn about that, especially, I think, in light of what the new election outcome has been. There's going to be a change in all of this. And maybe this is also going to affect how the projects are going to be moving forward, I believe, especially the project that I'll talk about in a minute about SolarMate. So anyway, the point that I'm trying to make is Argentina is very interesting. It's a very challenging thing. I take it very seriously. I expect you to take it very seriously. And the other thing that I want you to be aware of, this is challenging. This is going to be a challenging project, or challenging projects. The course is challenging, and I will be challenging you. I want you to learn, and I expect you to learn. I think one of the reasons, or one of the signals, one of the outcomes of this whole process is two of the projects that we will be doing with one of the clients is actually a client that was with me last year in Argentina also, meaning they are repeat customers. That tells you something that I expect, and I hope you too, to give high quality projects, because otherwise this client would not come back to us. So that client is, to start with the project, Banco Superville. It's a small local bank, a medium-sized local bank, I should say, and they want us to come back again. We did 3 projects for them last year. We'll be doing 2 projects with them now. These are banking projects. It's a bank, as I already said. However, it is not limited to people that are interested in finance only. We are also looking for people, for example, that have some marketing background, because, for example, last year they were talking about outreach on social media. So it's not a pure banking project. Obviously, students that are interested in finance do benefit and are encouraged to sign up for the Banco Superville project. But again, we're getting to the actual projects later, the sign up, the dividing up the projects later. So 2 projects are related to a bank, but they're not purely finance projects. Then we are going to be doing 1 project of a company, a startup company that is making a solar related heating system and want to export it to the United States. That is a little bit knowing about how to do exports or imports into the United States, but a very big part of it is to know the local culture, the local production process, to deal with the Ministry of Exports there, of Trade, to make sure that you understand how this process is going to work. So it's going to be very interesting from that viewpoint. And the last company that we'll be talking with, or that we will do a project for, is a consulting project, a consulting company. So that's more consulting. The other company, like I said, was a production process company, manufacturing, and the first one was a bank. So it's a wide variety of projects. Now, it's very interesting. There's a big mixture of these things. We need people with different backgrounds. For example, the manufacturing company, I just actually spoke with them. They would like to have somebody, they would like to have a marketing person in there. They would like to have somebody who knows about operations. So again, there's a wide variety. It's not just finance for these projects. So, those are your projects. Interesting projects, I think. Experienced leadership. A fascinating city. We will also do a lot of fun things. We will be going to Uruguay, for example, over the weekend. We will be visiting, which was a highlight the last time, a winery over there. We will go to Colonia, which is one of the first places where the Portuguese, if I remember correctly, landed in South America. Very historical. The city of Buenos Aires, beautiful city. Some of the students, and again, Hillary can talk more about that. They went to a music performance in the opera building. So there's a lot of things to do, a lot of meat, red meat to eat. Last time we had also vegetarian with us, and they survived. So you don't just need to eat meat and red wine, but if you like red wine and red meat, it is definitely the place to go for. So that's my summary of this. I hope you sign up. And again, Hillary will be able to tell you more about all of this. But I hope that this has given you a good introduction of the city, the projects, and me. And I hope that I've convinced you to sign up for Buenos Aires for a fascinating trip to a fascinating country with some very solid projects. Hope to see you there. Bye.
Thanks. All right, guys, next we're going to hear from Professor Nam Pham, who will talk to us about CAP in Vietnam.
Hello, everybody. The project's so exciting, right? I like to go to China as well. I'm Nam, and I'm going to take some of you to Vietnam this year. This will be my fifth. I go like that. Anyway, so this is Vietnam, this is Saigon, this is where we're going to go to, and that is where we are going to stay in the neighborhood. So, why Vietnam? Vietnam is an exciting country. Vietnam is a growing country. Why not Vietnam, I guess? Young population, rising middle class, and one of the fastest growing countries in the world. So that is Vietnam. Food, fantastic, obviously, and people are really nice. I explain for that. So we will have two companies and three projects. The first company will be Siemens. And the second company will be Malaysia Bank, Maybank. So this year my theme will be foreign companies doing business in Vietnam. We look at the risk, the opportunity, and the hurdle of the foreign companies doing business in the local. Siemens is Siemens, right? So Siemens has been in Vietnam for probably 30 years, and they involved in many different industries: power and gas, wind power, energy management, building technology, mobility, and I'd like you to focus on digital factory and process industry for project number 2, if you are interested. And we are going to go to Ho Chi Minh City, Saigon. Siemens has other offices around the country. We haven't finalized anything of the program yet. So that is Siemens. 2 projects for Siemens. Number 1, industry analysis. The objective is very simple. Siemens they want to know the market concentration of the industry. We are going to look at about a dozen of the industrial industry, manufacturing, basically they call the work they call industrial vertical. That's the Vietnamese translation. And they want to know about 5-year industry growth, the supply and demand of the growth, and 5-year industry of capital expenditures, the growth. The bottom line for Siemens is where I'm going to expand the business. Who is going to buy my product? Right? So that is the project number 1. What are we going to deliver? We are going to collaborate with Siemens to tackle the question of the market concentration. They know, and now we help them to look at who are the key players in the industry, where these industries are located around the country. That's the easy part. The second part is the industry growth. That's where you come in. You will look at the industry research. You look at the manufacturing will grow by X%. The mining will go by X%. And we look at the industry growth in the 5 years. And after that, you are looking at the CapEx. Because the industry grows, that means industry will look for capital expenditures. And that means they're going to buy the product from Siemens. That is very simple, straightforward. Is it easy to do? I don't know. I don't think. It will be a challenge, right? So I'm thinking about the framework that you are going to work with Siemens people to understand the market. You are going to look at the secondary market research to understand the growth. You will look at probably investment bank research to understand the growth of the economy of the particular industry. And you will look at inside the country, look outside the country. And after that, probably we have to do surveys. Survey inside the country. That means you are going to work with Siemens to see where we're going to send, what questions that we are going to do, and how we're going to do that. And after that, we collect the information, and we are going to analyze the responses. That is the project number 1. Right? Project number 2, also Siemens. Siemens now, when I ask you to look to remember the digital factory division and the process, industries and drive division. The project number 2 is for this division. What they want to know is the customer survey analysis. They want to know their competitors. So they want to know about the install base of the equipment in Vietnam. And the bottom line is, what are the customer preferences? Are they going to buy Siemens product? Are they going to buy somebody else's product? How are we going to do that? You are going to design the survey questionnaires. You have to understand the landscape, the industry, so that you can design the questionnaire. And you will bring in the best practice of how to send out the surveys, how to send out the survey effectively to have a higher rate of return. And after that, they want to bring it back, the result, and you're going to analyze the responses, write it up, and we're done. Right? Very straightforward, very simple. It will take some thinking to do it. That is Siemens. For the second company is Malaysia Bank. Malaysia Bank has been in Vietnam probably around 20 years. And they have business in the north and in the south. We focus in the south again. For Maybank, the question is how to analyze the currency risk management in the country so far. I have to be honest to tell you that this project is a bit of the technical. So it's not difficult, it's not rocket science, but you have to love the project in order to do the project. What are we going to do? What we're going to do is to look at who are using the currency. So you have several user market segments. You have importer, exporter, your corporation, you buy product overseas, you have foreign companies, you pay people local, who demand the currency. That is the client segmentation. Right? That is the first question that we have to look at. And the second part, probably you will bring in quite effective, because we live here to look at how's the interest rate movement, how's the trade issue. We're talking about NAFTA renegotiation in here. We're talking about TTIP. We're talking about TPP. what is the landscape or the horizons of the trade issue, currency issue, the Fed going to raise rate or not raising rate. That is macro, that is finance. And after that, you look at the product. Basically, it's a hedging product, right? So if you don't know about hedging, you learn about hedging. You learn about a product. It is an opportunity to learn. So now we are looking at the product. What kind of product that helps clients to hedge their projects? And to look at the Vietnamese market, do you have those products or not? So that you can identify which product are more suitable for Vietnamese clients. You got the answer, maybe I will be happy at the time. So that they will introduce those products into the market to help customers to hedge the currency. And that is a hedging product. Okay? 3 projects, 2 countries, easy, simple. Very simple. Now, all the fancy thing, all the good stuff. Now, I'm giving you the bad things to know, right? My project, I am looking for people more on the qualitative analysis, more on numbers. If you say that you hate numbers, not me, right? Better to be fair. So, because I employ the 3 fundamentals, and I will talk about a little bit of my work later. You have to find facts, fact finding. That is number 1. You need to have the fact correctly. Before recommendation, fact. I'm a big fact fan. I love facts. Statistics, numbers. Second, so that you have to be very accurate. Right? Second is the bottom line. I used to work in investment banking, and my boss always tell me, buy or sell, one word. The bottom line, what are you going to tell me? And thirdly, you have to communicate with your clients, with me, with your classmates, with your parents, effectively. You have an idea, you have the answer, how you communicate that with people effectively. Those are the 3 fundamentals that I'm looking from you. You will learn a lot, but probably I'm not the easiest guy to work with. All right. You have to be and I will give you more good news later. But now the bad news, ugly things coming back. You have to be self-motivated. You have to be self-disciplined. I'm honestly telling you that I'm not going to babysit any one of you, right? So you have to learn, and that is like a consultant. And I'm always telling MBA students that maybe this is the chance for you to know that it's not me, right? I changed my career. It's not too late. Still, everything is too early, right? So you have to do it your own. You have to set the agenda. You have to learn it yourself, and I will be your coach. I don't have the answer. If I have the answers, I've done it correctly. You are going to find the answers together. Right? So that's what I'm looking for, and you have to work on a teamwork. We keep emphasizing over and over, you have to have a teamwork. You cannot do it alone. Nobody can. Because this requires a lot of work within 3-4 weeks. And you have to be creative in the deliverables and creative in the methodologies. Right? The good news is I'm accessible. I'm not going to leave you alone. I'm easy to reach out, and if you put your effort in, I am going to put my effort in with you. If you come to me and you just ask me to do the work, you're not my team leader. Right? And I'm not going to go to tell you that go to figure out yourself. I'm going to figure out with you as well, because these topics are interesting. In Saigon, in Ho Chi Minh City, don't listen to the second-year student, the previous one, they are rumor. We are going to work. We work very, very hard. We work, and we work, right? We barely have any time to sleep because you have so much fun. Don't listen to rumor. And I'm asking you to be professional in any gap in any country. When you are professional, people treat you nicely, and they respect you. And you have to work with your team. We keep emphasizing that. A little bit about me. That's it in my life. Yes. What I'm interested now, my research is my work is about startup. about business development. And I now am doing economic impact analysis, cost benefit analysis for US policies. So I'm very US centric. I don't do business with Vietnamese company. Not that I don't want to, but I don't have a chance to do that. And but a little bit about my background, I was the economist at the World Bank during the Asian miracle. After that, I was chief economist for Asia at S&P during the Asia crisis. And after that, I went to work for asset management in Boston during the Russian crisis. And after that, I come back here to do my economic consulting. I have my own boutique. So my friends and my bosses used to say that I'm a bad new guy. Whatever I touch, crisis happens. And now I teach at GW. Right, so if you want to find me, that's my email. You can contact me. And I really urge you, if you think about Vietnam, please do talk to me. Because it sounds fun, it sounds easy, but there's reality there, right? So reach out to me, talk to me. We will talk more about the companies. We will talk more about the projects. We will talk more about the approach. And also my personality. You can do before you sign up for that. Okay? Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Last but not least, my name is Dr. Mona Messerly. I'm here in the Department of Management, the Eisenhower Research Professor of Tourism Policy and also Chair of the International Institute of Tourism Studies. Long title. What does that mean? It means that I focus on teaching, consulting, and research. My background is all about teaching, consulting, and research, but in the business environment, the academic environment, and also in development. Some would say I'm kind of trimodal in my thinking, which you will see reflected in the clients that we will work with in Australia. I actually ran a consulting firm out of Singapore for a few years during a pretty challenging time and developed a real love of consulting. And so both in terms of teaching as well as consulting, working with business, governments, that, interestingly enough, led me to work at the World Bank, where I was prior to coming to here at GW. So, Australia. It's that kind of little small place in Asia, right? It is 23 million people and the size smaller than 48 contiguous states here in the U.S. What's also interesting is that about 82% of the people in Australia live within 50 kilometers of the coast. It's kind of like that classic 80-20 rule, but it means that there's lots of empty spaces in the middle of Australia. The action happens along the coast and certainly is an internationally competitive and advanced market economy that has gone through quite a few changes and economic reforms over the years, but continues to thrive. Just to say that in Australia, when the U.S. sneezed, Australia would get a cold, or when the U.S. would get a cold, Australia would sneeze. In either case, even though it's all the way around the world, it certainly is connected both to the U.S. economy, but the global economy overall. Something that's interesting really about Australia is that it has about 10% of the world's biodiversity. It is certainly unique for its flora and fauna. I can pretty much guarantee you will see kangaroos when you go to Australia. And, never forget, Australia has a great cricket and Australia rules football. Not to mention pretty good beers. I don't know if we can compete with the food in China, but really, Australia, why? 5 really good reasons to be doing business in Australia. One is it's relatively low risk and safe, 25th year of uninterrupted growth, focused on innovation, supporting globally significant R&D. There's quite a bit of world-class R&D work going on, even in Melbourne in particular, that is recognized and has been incorporated around the world. The labor force is considered one of the most skilled and diverse in the world. And by the way, given where Australia is, it doesn't surprise you that it has strong economic, business, and cultural ties to the Asia-Pacific region. In the end, it's a great place to do business, and I think through this CAP we'll have an opportunity to meet some great business people. There's a few challenges going on right now in Australia. As you know, many of you may know, the economy is somewhat driven by commodities, and there have been quite a bit of drop in commodity prices in the past years, and yet GDP per person continues to be still quite high. A few of the export partners, doesn't surprise you that China is one of the first ones. Internet and overall connectivity savviness is growing, with 85% of the country connected. Melbourne is quite interesting in that it is soon to be Australia's largest city, and 1 in 5 Australians actually live in Canberra, and it is, in Melbourne, and is considered the hub of business for the country. So, given the way Australia is in terms of size and development, as I mentioned to you, it probably doesn't surprise you that it is a significant exporter of natural resources, energy, and food. There are diverse natural resources that bring in high levels of foreign direct investment. And it is very much an open market with minimal restrictions on imports of goods and services. This has really helped Australia to grow their economy over time, and it has made them very flexible and dynamic. And I think that that's an exciting aspect of doing business in Australia going forward. Also, given my heart close to the services sector, it's interesting that Australia, 70% of GDP and 75% of jobs comes from the services sector. So I'd like to tell you about 4 really interesting clients for this CAP in Australia. No, none of these are similar. They are quite different. The first is an organization called the Good Foundation. And the Good Foundation is all about healthy eating and building social good. This is an organization that started in about 2010 and had the license, the exclusive license for doing Jamie Oliver's Ministry of Food program. And with great gusto, the organization with their 4 kitchens and 2 mobile kitchens has developed and put through 30,000 people through this program. Now, why is this important? It's all about healthy lifestyle, good eating, and particularly with those members of the population who may not be inclined to think that cooking a good meal at home makes a lot of sense. The Good Foundation was actually started by through one of Australia's largest retailers as a way to give back and do something better for the country overall. Now, the Good Foundation doesn't just do Jamie Oliver's programs, but over time it has become so successful in delivering these throughout the country that some of their other programs have kind of gone by the wayside and have not really, let's just say, have been overshadowed. So the real challenge here is how can they expand the success of their programs and the credibility that they have in the marketplace to grow within this business model of a foundation that involves both corporate partners as well as engagement with governments, and all within the complexity of the nonprofit sector. This company is led by a very dynamic CEO that is looking for a team that will just absolutely chew up data, think creatively, think across sectors, and also really be able to build a business case for how they can grow their programs and the future of their services. So that's client number 1. Number 2, Cargo Crew. I imagine you're kind of wondering why I'm standing up here with an apron on. I mean, I know we're all here to do good work, but Cargo Crew actually is a fascinating company that has really revolutionized the apparel sector in the world. Again, relatively new company, started in 2012. It is an up-and-comer, being watched by all of Melbourne, Australia, and beyond. Today, 20,000 workers go to work wearing Cargo Crew apparel. Their signature mark is aprons, which I know sounds a little surprising, but it is from there that they've grown to develop both stylish and effective uniforms, which frankly make people proud of the work that they're doing. They even designed the uniforms for Gwyneth Paltrow's Goop launch. And what's incredible about them is that they are able to do this primarily online, having shipped to more than 44 countries in just this year, and are really growing in a dynamic way with a culture within their company that they want to keep around their core values, but also expand into new markets, new sectors. They've been quite active in retail, in hospitality, in other entertainment areas in terms of doing uniforms. And so the question is, what kinds of strategies should they follow? Where are really the opportunities? And how can this be done given their high energy, creative, we can do this approach to the business? By the way, third client, CPA Australia. You know, just your average kind of association. Not at all. This is one of the world's largest accounting bodies with 155,000 members in 118 countries. And they focus on training, education, technical support, and advocacy for the profession of CPAs. What's interesting about this is that while it's a non-for-profit entity, they had revenues of $174 million last year, with good margin coming in. Over 300 staff are located in Melbourne. They have 19 offices and over 500 staff worldwide. Now, they have an interesting challenge that crosses a couple of different areas of thinking. Yes, it's about product. Yes, it's about services. But it's within the field of professional education and certification. They are the leader in this area, but what they have noticed is that their portfolio in this area is declining. And it's millions and millions of dollars. And they have asked us to come and work with them to look at that portfolio, specifically of the educational services and products that are provided by them around the world, to see both why is there a decline, what is contributing to that decline, how can that be addressed going forward, what different types of deliveries, services, and programs, but still within the rubric of CPA professionalization and certification, how can they address that? There is a specific project manager and a whole team of people that will interface with the team that works on this, which is very exciting because it is a very significant part of their activity. And while it is a not-for-profit, the education component of this association is commercial and is expected to return money. So there's a very real need and a very seriousness about this particular project. The City of Melbourne. Smart and getting smarter. I'm sure a number of you have heard about smart cities. Melbourne is considered one of the most livable cities in the world. They have tremendous both natural resources, but they are, again, as I mentioned, a business hub with over 27 million visitors last year. Now, it's both domestic as well as international visitors that come. Also, there's a substantial residential community. 30% of the residents in Melbourne are college students, which makes for a very interesting environment as well. And going forward, there is a desire to work with residents, workers, businesses, students, as well as visitors, to design, develop, and test the best ways to live, work, and play. So you don't get to just play Vietnam. Play a little bit in Melbourne because it'll be part of your research, right? Okay, so we have been asked by their Office of Economy and Activation Group, which has a strategic marketing unit, to work with them to begin to address this issue of how best can the City of Melbourne develop the mix of both services and business activities that will engage residents, visitors, and workers. There's over 1 million people that go into Melbourne every day and leave every night. And the City of Melbourne says, hey, hold on here. You know, why can't we get them to stay a little longer, spend a little bit more, and have events and activities that might be a little bit more engaging for these people? So their approach, they want to address both this bigger issue through data analysis. By the way, the city has an open platform already, an open database platform with 100 databases on it. And the client said to me at one point, we got so much data here and nobody's really looking at it. There's some really good stories to tell, and we got to figure out how to use that as evidence for our steps and inform both businesses and policies going forward. So, in the end, it's about visitors and locals alike. It's about business, it's about government, and it's about a really, really exciting city. May I end with one quick note? You know, Australia's a great place. I lived there 2.5 years. I was involved with a startup that required me to work all over the country. I worked with great people, and it was an extraordinary experience to develop basically a new business venture within the education sector. Australians take education very seriously. And I thought, hey, no problem, going to Australia to speak the same language. I got this down, not a problem. That's where the similarities start and stop. And I say to you, do not be lulled by the idea that, oh, going to Australia, having a good time, this really isn't going to be a big cultural shock. It is. It is a very different place to do business. There are subtleties and nuances. They are welcoming and warm people in Australia, but boy, you got to be able to do business and do business in a manner and a format that they do. And I think that that's what this CAP will really allow you to do, both in terms of different types of businesses, and we'll have lots of cross-fertilization between the different groups, even though they are very different problems. The reality is there's lots to learn across them, as well as to understand Australian culture and business. So thank you very much.
Okay guys, that wraps up our CAP faculty project. Thank you very much to all of our CAP faculty. What I'm going to discuss with you next is the application process. So very quickly, what are the next steps? First, next step is your application, right? In December, your placements will be shared. December to January, you'll engage in your CAP here in DC. And then in mid-January, CAP up again, and then in May, you'll travel to your client. These dates are tentative. What we're asking you to do is to keep your calendar clear from May 14th to June 7th. Okay? We will communicate the final dates with you. But these are dates we ask you to keep clear in your calendar. Okay? Now, tentative key dates to remember for next spring. For right from now on, tomorrow the CAP application opens. Alright? Your CAP application will be due November 27th by 11:59 p.m. Please try not to submit your application at the last minute. A lot of times you think about issues, so please try to get it in before 11:59 p.m. Otherwise, you won't be able to submit it. We announce your CAP locations, your placements by 12 p.m. By December 12th at 5 p.m. Then January through April you will have your class meetings, your CAP class meetings. CAP happens on Thursdays, right? I mentioned that earlier. Every Thursday will be CAP day. Some CAP days you won't have a class, but you will have a lunch and learn. Okay, so that's something to keep in mind. So clear your Thursday calendars for CAP. Then we mentioned January 27th, there will be a client leadership session that Professor Sean Giriders will lead, and he led the CAP South Africa program this past year. Some of you may know him. He is a former McKinsey consultant, and he will lead a session for us on client engagement, building successful client relationships. It's happening at a great time, January 27th, right as you're starting your first client phone calls. Then February 3rd, we have a consulting workshop with Professor Paul Frigga, who wrote the book that we gave out to you guys today. And then April 27th, jumping forward a few months, that's when you have your preview presentation that I mentioned earlier, when your team will present your preliminary findings to a panel of, we call them judges or experts, that your faculty will hand select for you. Moving forward, how does the application work? All right, what we want you to keep in mind, you've heard all of our faculty, we have fantastic products, we have a very wide variety of sectors. Keep the following in mind, keep the region an interest. Maybe you're very interested in Asia, maybe you're very interested in South America. Think carefully about this sector. Think carefully about the faculty, their background, what you want to learn from your faculty. We're very experienced faculty. And then can weigh your academic interests with your curricular interest and your career interest. Maybe there's a sector you want to learn more about. You know, maybe you have a lot of experience and you think you can add value maybe in one of the projects. So keep these things in mind as you're developing and as you're thinking of the budget cap process. We also want you to know the following. Very upfront, you may not be placed in your first choice, okay? But you may, but just you can't expect that you'll be placed in your first choice. CAP is one of many experiences we offer. We have short-term study abroad programs, we have exchange programs, we have domestic business and society courses. There's lots of other opportunities as well. And then we ask that you take into consideration your tolerance for the local weather, the local climate, local culture, and also know what is your level of adventure that you can tolerate in order that you can deliver, you can be your best version of yourself as you participate in CAP in country. Now, GW Passport, some of you know this platform because you are doing a shorter program, but I just want to show you, this is what I'll share with you tomorrow. This is where you will submit your application. In other words, it will be an online application. Now, this is how the application works. You will rank 5 programs, right? So you'll rank them based on the country, right? We ask that you write a statement of purpose. You can also submit your resume. And in your statement of purpose, we want you to describe the reasoning for your application and for your ranking and mention at least 3 of the projects in the countries, okay? And then we also ask that you tell us why is this a good fit for you, your background, or maybe it's your future interests. Tell us a bit. Give us compelling reasons why you'd be a good fit. Now, you have 100 points. Each one of you have 100 points. And what you have to do with these 100 points is you have to allocate it to the 5 locations. Okay? Now, the maximum amount of points that you could assign to any location is 50. Okay? So say you want to do, no bias here, 50 to South Africa, and 10 or 20 to another place, that's fine. That's as well. You have 100 points that you have to assign to different locations. In other words, say CAP South Africa is your first choice, you would assign 50 points there. Say, Vietnam is your second, you would assign 40. Maybe, I'm just giving you an example. Also, we ask that you please let us know any special considerations. If it's dietary, if it's health, if it's mobility, please share that in the application, and we can keep that in mind because we want to honor that for you. Applications are due November 27th at 11:59 p.m. Okay? If you have any issues or challenges with the system beforehand, please let us know. Alumni have recommended that you guys will keep the following in mind. Okay? They said things won't always turn out as you expect. So you should really expect the unexpected, not to sound funny, but a lot of times you arrive in country and you realize, wow, there's dynamics with the clients that we completely didn't pick up on. Or the culture is very, very, very different. It's a lot more dynamic. So that's what they recommended. They also recommend patience with yourself, patience with one another, be flexible, and a commitment and an ownership of your project. Take ownership. And then from our recommendation in the Office of Global Experiential Education, and to echo Dr. Gertz, the reason that we can use Bianco Super Bowl as a client again, I'm saying use and engage with them, is because honestly, the second-year GMBAs did a great job, and they want to come back to us, and part of that reason is because our students were so professional. And so several of our faculty mentioned it today, that please conduct yourself professionally. You know how to do that, but you're representing yourself, you're also representing the university as a consultant, so keep that in mind. Professional conduct here and on site, obviously. Final notes, and to wrap it up, before we take questions, make sure that you are eligible to travel, so if you need to renew your passport, now's a good time to do so. And if you have any other travel requirements, let us know. Anything that's of concern, some of you already reached out to us, but please talk to us. If you have any questions, if there's any other concerns or any suggestions, comments, talk to Brian and I. We're available by email, phone, and Skype. And we ask you to clear your calendar by 14th to this second. Before we wrap up, there's 2 things I want to just let you know. There's a reception following after the questions, and that will be in Oglesthorpe. We'll have the opportunity to talk to our faculty, to talk to Brian and I as well. And next, I want to transition over to any questions for the faculty. Any questions?
For each project, is it one team or are there multiple teams for each project?
There's one team. Yeah.
are all the projects going to have different dates? Because like I'm working with my internship right now, and the dates that I previously gave them are the original dates you gave us, and they're really pushing for like I need a date as far as when you can start. So do you guys know how soon we'll have that?
We'll have the dates very soon. Yeah, the final dates. We'll have that very soon to you.
Like how soon is very soon?
You know, I can't commit to telling you exact time, but we're working on something that to iron out the days. Yeah, we are very mindful of that. So to answer your question, the dates for all the caps are the same.
Okay.
To answer that question, all the caps are the same.
Okay. Can I? So maybe I have a second
Sure.
question.
Yeah.
So the last day, is that the last day we'll be in country? So we need to add like 2 days for travel back? Is that included? Like how is that?
Yeah. So you say your last day is a Friday, right? Most of you guys, it's a Friday. Let's say it's June 2nd. That's the day you will be returning to the U.S. So depending on your cap location, if you're flying from Australia, you have to consider that. If you're flying from Vietnam, China, it's a longer timeline. If you're flying from Argentina, it's just 7 hours.
So the last day will be the day we're flying out.
Right, but yeah, most likely. But for some caps, the clients, based on their availability, could only do the final presentation on that Friday. That's why we ask you, we book your accommodations for you until that Friday. That's when you check out. So, but we will follow up with you about the final dates. Yes, Megan, yeah.
Do all projects handle language barriers the same way? It's working fine.
Yeah, I mean, yes, I would say they do, and language barriers is not an issue with any of our projects. Otherwise we wouldn't be working with them. That's one of our requirements to work with a client.
But is it like this for the doors or fine? There will always be an English speaker outside?
Yeah, we will ensure if that there isn't that there is a translator for you. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. No. Well, is your question, are we reviewing the applications on a rolling basis?
Yes.
No. November 28th, that's when we start reviewing the applications in one batch. So we don't, excuse me?
So it will not be applications, it's just midterm applications. I'm just trying to make sure it's not.
No. We don't need preference. If you submit it early, we don't need preference to it. Yeah. But we encourage you to submit it early. Yes. Yeah, Alexis.
Yes. What's your recommendation on how we specify which projects we're interested in? Because it sounds like there are many countries, but each country has projects that are very, very different topics. So how can what's the best practice for saying, okay, I'm interested in country X, but I only really like this project, and if I don't have that project, I much prefer country Y, because that's the other project, rather than saying I love country X and I'm fine with any of the projects on it.
Yeah, your personal statement is where you would make that clear. But as you can imagine, it would be incredibly challenging for us to place everyone into project teams only with your personal statements and the rankings. And so what we're doing is asking you to keep an open mind and also consider that you are providing a ranking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the country. So, understandable that, given your interest in finance, for example, there might be 2 CAP projects that are in different countries that are of most interest. Mention that in your personal statement, but know that you might not be placed in, your ideal top CAP. But that's the information we're using.
When we receive the slides tomorrow, are we going to be getting more information on the clients in Argentina in terms of like the name of the consulting client? We didn't get that.
Yeah, so what we're doing tomorrow, this is a great question. Tomorrow I'll send an email to you and we'll have instructions for the application. And it will have screenshots on how to submit your application. We'll also have project descriptions and the faculty bios as well for tomorrow. And we'll have a PDF of this as well. Yeah.
This might have been answered, but if we choose a country and we end up with one faculty, are we engaged in all of the projects within that country or a single project?
So say, for example, when I go to, one particular CAP country, you're going to be engaged in one project. Only one project, right? Yeah.
So when I'm highlighting my preference for the country, I should be highlighting the project as well, because it's quite different styles.
Yeah, that's what we recommend. So that's something to keep in mind.
So something that's a little confusing to me is that you're choosing the country, and that's what we're giving the weight to, right, with the 100 points. So exactly how, what's going to happen down the line. It seems kind of like when we turn down a project.
I would say really keep in mind the country, because these projects are born out of the country that it's coming from. So keep the cultural context in mind. That's why this is part of the global MBA, this one is the Consultant Abroad project. So really, we do give preference to the country. We wouldn't have the project if it wasn't within that country environment. Right, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a complication of the ranking system that we've devised, but I would say keep that in mind, right? So we're asking you to provide a ranking and a point allocation by country, and that you have an opportunity to describe your interest by project later on. So fundamentally, your ranking is by country, right? So include that in your decision criteria when you're ranking it, as well as what your interest is in the project.
Yes, we have time for 2 more questions. Yeah.
Just following on that, I think it ends up in a project that's completely separate, but in the country that it's in. Is there any kind of switching or negotiation after it all, or is it final?
Yeah, so here's the thing, that's a great question. There's a lot of questions about projects. It's really up to the faculty as well, your project. So that's why one of the recommendations we just gave is to be flexible. So yeah, just because you're interested in one particular project doesn't mean you'll get it. That's why keep that in mind, as well.
Yeah, this is a really important element because when you're placed, you'll be placed by country, right? So we won't be sharing your project placement. That will be facilitated by the faculty. So that's a really important clarifying question, right? That will depend on faculty, right? So some people will send out a poll immediately. Some people want to wait so that they can speak to students and kind of get a sense. So that will be determined by the CAP faculty themselves. Yep.
Yeah, go ahead.
Are any scholarships to help cover the costs? Somebody asked for
Yep, so you might have seen on our website and some of our marketing materials, we unfortunately lost a great professor last year, Rafael Lucea, and there's a memorial fund that's been established in his honor. He taught in the CAP program. He was really passionate about not just international business, but also intercultural learning. And so we'll circulate some information later in the spring for how you can apply for that scholarship. And that's a scholarship that's funded directly to students to help offset some of these overhead costs associated with traveling to that destination, for sure. Great.
Great, thank you very much. We would like to give a round of applause to the faculty.